Did humans live on Mars before Earth? The prospect of life existing elsewhere in the solar system or wider universe has been at the center of debate for decades. Given the millions of stars and worlds out there, is Earth really the only one actually hosting anything? And even if it was found that life doesn't exist on other planets right now, could it have existed somewhere else in the past? Somewhere relatively close to home? This is Unveiled, and today we're answering the extraordinary question, did humans live on Mars before Earth? Are you a fiend for facts? Are you constantly curious? Then why not subscribe to Unveiled for more clips like this one, and ring the bell for more fascinating content. Though it's widely believed that Mars in its current state couldn't support complex life, there are various theories to suggest that ancient Mars may have been a much more hospitable, habitable environment, perhaps at one point even more so than Earth was. It's thought that more than 3 billion years ago, the Red Planet was actually similar to what Earth is now in terms of climate and conditions, with vast lakes and warmer weather patterns. In terms of whether it ever hosted life, NASA's Curiosity rover has provided plenty of apparent evidence that it may have, or at least that it was a possibility. Curiosity was launched in November 2011 and landed in August 2012 with the primary goal of exploring the Gale crater, an area that's now believed to have once been a sprawling body of water. The rover's mission objectives were, and still are, very far-reaching, but much of what it does, collects, studies, and records is done so that NASA scientists can try to determine whether Mars could ever have hosted life. First off, while navigating the Gale crater, Curiosity discovered a host of specific molecules and carbon chains which, according to NASA, could have contributed to the formation of early life. Since then, during Curiosity's further exploration of the Martian landscape, it has found evidence of sulfur, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, and carbon, elements that are also essential to life. We are, after all, carbon-based beings. The puzzle is by no means complete, and at the moment, there's no solid, irrefutable answer on whether life does, has, or has never existed on Mars. But it does seem as though early Mars at least contained all of the fundamental pieces necessary for it to happen. John Grotzinger, the chief scientist behind the Curiosity rover, has every confidence that Mars was once a habitable planet, even claiming that the water that once filled the Gale crater would have been safe to drink. It's an exciting thought, but it also ignites another question. If life was initially on Mars instead of Earth, then how did it eventually get here? Well, assuming for a second that life at some point did in fact exist on Mars, the prospect of the two planets somehow exchanging organisms might not be all that far-fetched given their close proximity. At the closest point in their orbits, Earth and Mars are approximately 34 million miles apart. It is a massive distance, but not exactly insurmountable in the grand scheme of space. And here we get to the panspermia theory, which suggests that forms of life exist throughout the universe and travel through space mostly on meteorites. The chances of microbes actually surviving such high-speed interplanetary trans-star system journeys are definitely low, but studies have shown that it is possible. And we do already know that various meteors from other celestial bodies have made their way to Earth, and that Mars has been pummeled with space debris in its past as well. So if there's even a grain of truth in the panspermia theory, then it may well have played out on our planet and the Red Planet. And across billions of years, such events may theoretically have passed vital material from Mars to Earth. Much more recently, scientists like Stephen Benner of the Westheimer Institute of Science and Technology have added more fuel to the theory, arguing that thanks to its store of the element boron, early Mars may have actually been a better place than early Earth for the creation of RNA or ribonucleic acid, an essential building block for life. So perhaps life really did develop on Mars first before traveling to Earth, or at the very least an adequate store of boron made it to Earth via meteorites to kickstart evolution here. It ties closely with the phosphate problem, which science has long been trying to figure out. The problem posits that early Earth couldn't sustain the vital phosphates needed to create life, but early Mars could well have done. In 2013, shortly after Benner revealed his ideas on why Mars may have been a better breeding ground for basic life, the University of Nevada's Christopher Adcock led a study which found that it was much more likely that phosphates on Mars would have developed in water, compared to phosphates on Earth which weren't as compliant with water. So seeing as we believe life started in water, Mars is arguably a more likely early home. As interesting and possible as it may seem, though, the idea that life existed on Mars is still just a theory, and the jump from the Red Planet perhaps hosting early microbial life to it being the long-lost home for an ancient line of actual human beings that we no longer know about is still a massive one. Depending on who you ask, some form of life may have existed or may still exist on Mars. But walking, talking, advanced, intelligent, and recognizable humans? Not likely. For those trying to pinpoint the origin of life, though, Mars offers an alternative to our own planet, with some claiming that Earth increasingly seems a more unlikely source. But there are still plenty of questions hanging over Mars in general, not least, what exactly happened to its atmosphere? While there's still no proof that life has ever existed or excelled there, the general consensus is that it's at least possible. What do you think? Is there anything we missed? Let us know in the comments, check out these other clips from Unveiled, and make sure you subscribe and ring the bell for our latest content.